takes you away is sort of, it feels like a spiritual successor to the Power of Three, and that it sort of hits the same sort of beats in one way or another, where the Doctor comes across this mystery, and the mystery is pretty interesting, and then it goes off with a sort of a red herring aspect, like sort of a fake out is exactly what's going on here. Namely, in this case, it would be ribbons, and then we go totally off board, and then we go into something involving the legacy of Gallifrey, something involving an old story of the universe. With the Power of Three, it was the Tally, and now it's the Solid Tract. And I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot sort of going on with this story, or rather, there's some interesting elements that I think should have just been the focus. Why couldn't this have just been more about Eric, the dad, trying to sort of deal with the death of his wife without him trying to come off as like the worst human being ever. The fact that he tricks his blind daughter into thinking, oh, there's a monster outside, you can't leave. Like, oh, she's a teenager, I just wanted to make sure she didn't leave the house. I'm like, what, do you not know how long you've been gone? What is going on here? And the idea that the Solid Tract is sort of trying to convince Eric and later Graham to stay, it all feels sort of horribly paced. Like, did we need ribbons for this? Did we need that whole little story with ribbons just to get to this? Why not? And just hear me out. Why not we just done it this way? Graham goes through the mirror, ends up in another world where he meets Grace, and there we go. It turns out this place is very good at convincing you to stay. And then we saw the idea of Ryan and his interactions with Hannah. Why did this story take place in Norway? There was no reason for it to take place in Norway. There's no play onto Norway mythology or anything like that. But anyway, Ryan's back and forth with her, it's sort of Ryan sort of projecting, his relationship with his dad, which has, again, been pretty poorly handled in terms of exactly how it's been set up here. Eric himself sort of comes off as like the worst person ever, and I can't understate that. Why? Why couldn't it just be what Hannah said? Like, you're not well. The idea that the Solid Tract has pulled him in because the Solid Tract is lonely, and later a frog. And the idea is that they want him to stay. They want Graham to stay. And they create exactly what Graham and Eric would need to get them to possibly turn their back on everything. Or maybe even the fact that, hey, Eric doesn't realize he's been gone for just a couple hours. It's been much longer. And he'd be like, well, Hannah needs me. And, the not wife goes up and you point out, like, well, I need you. And he's forced to make that decision because it feels so real that he does succumb to it. Graham goes with the fact that, hey, Graham knows Grace, and Grace would never leave Ryan alone. That's how he knows. It all would really work, but it doesn't. Why didn't we go this route? Why didn't we? Why does Yaz, again, have nothing to do? She might as well have not been in the episode. Again, 3 companions don't seem to work. It would be much better if we just sort of rotated them out. Rotated them out per episode as need be. But no. I don't know. I think this episode sort of irks me the most out of all of them, because it feels like we went with an unnecessary route. Why can't we just have an episode without a monster? Why can't we just do that? It seems like we're sort of very afraid that the audience can't handle just a regular story, a little slice of life. Alright? And this isn't just something I'm laying down at the feet of this season. Just like pretty much New Who in general seems to be, at least off the top of my head right now, totally incapable of saying, hey, there's no real monster this time. It's just this story going on. Or this little adventure, alright? Rosa did not need some knockoff of the meddling monk. Demons of the Punjab did not need, space assassins. It didn't. It didn't need it. And the Saranga Conundrum didn't need a knockoff of Stitch. You could really tell these really interesting stories without aliens and just come across, hey, a problem that needs to be resolved. But we don't do that. Instead, we have to sort of lower our opinion of the audience to say that, well, just give them a monster to go around and just sort of make them think it's something. I gave Demons of the Punjab credit because that was a really clever red herring. You think it would be them, but it's not. They're actually doing the exact opposite. But here, we would have had a really heartfelt story with Graham and Eric both sort of dealing with the fact, hey, we've lost someone special, and now we have to turn away from this ultimate temptation of being back with that person. Instead, we have the Doctor talking to a frog, which you'd think I would love that, the idea of the Doctor talking to a frog, but it's not really a frog, and it just sort of rushed itself really quick. I don't know, it's one of those endings where you know nothing bad's going to happen to the Doctor. It's like, he's going to talk a way out. Or I think it would have been better if the Doctor had sort of gone like the Rings of Akatan route and said, let me impart upon you my knowledge of the universe. And it allows the solid track to create its own universe. Or even better, the Doctor says, let me tell you a story. And there, the Doctor's gone for like what is like days on the other side. But it's only been like a couple of minutes on the solid track side. And the Doctor has helped create and stabilize the universe. Just by telling a story. But overall, I think this might be my least favorite episode so far. But then again, I haven't gone through this again. Arachnids in the UK might really still be up there. I'm not sure. I don't know. Anyway, maybe I'm overthinking this. Did you guys like this episode? Did you guys like It Takes You Away? Didn't take me away. A lot of reverse the polarity reference there, but I don't know. Anyway, I think we're rambling here, so thank you for watching, or listening in this case. If you're new to the Bucket, thank you for to like, comment, share, subscribe. What do you guys think of the Daleks apparently showing up in the New Year's special, which I think might be what will make or break this Doctor for me. The Daleks are super important. Anyway, I will catch you all later. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. May your fandom serve you well.